Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Data Analytics Chat, where we discuss the latest trends and challenges that are faced in the data science and AI world. Hopefully, today's listeners will find this topic beneficial, as it's quite a popular topic and, I guess, problem across a lot of businesses. Today, we're discussing the topic of how to get more or how to get the best out of your data team. I'm delighted today to welcome special guest Peilin Corbanese. She's a three-time award-winning VP of Analytics at EXL, a global Gen AI and digital transformation management consulting firm. So welcome, Peilin.
Hi, Ben. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you, and it's an honor to be here today.
Brilliant. So do you want to, it's great to have you on the podcast. Do you want to give a quick overview to yourself?
Sure. I'm Peilin, and I go by Peilin only because I like to be more like Madonna, so Peilin, no last name. But if you need to look me up, I'm Peilin Corbanese on LinkedIn. I am a 3-time award-winning executive person, that person that's leading transformation and build up data science team and understanding data, leading the data insights to transform the organization. And most importantly, is really to create that team and translate that information into languages that executives can understand and have the persuasive communication skills so that everyone will come on board and willing to invest the money to transform the organization. So I've been doing that specifically in the insurance industry for the past roughly 15 years. And prior to that, I was in the retail space, working for some large brand companies, also leading digital transformation. So I spent the past 25 years in the marketing, analytics, data science, as well as in the insurance world. So nowadays, I spend a lot of time thinking about how I can help contribute to the world, help contribute to people that I know, to share my experiences, the things I have learned in the past that worked, that didn't work, the lessons I've learned, and the lessons I have learned and unlearned. Try to share those information and the stories with people to help them be more successful in their career and be faster in their career horizon. So that's why I'm here today, to talk to Ben a little bit about, I believe, data talents.
Yeah, obviously, I've seen your profile on LinkedIn. Obviously, you had a great career. Why did you choose, or how did you fall into data, or why did you choose data?
I was actually a violinist. I came to the US when I was 15, and I came to study the violin at the music school. And that was the reason I came. So honestly, before I came here, I wasn't terribly good in math when I was in Taiwan. In fact, I was failing algebra when I was in the 8th grade, and my father was really worried. He didn't understand why a daughter of his would fail algebra. And I spent so many years, so many hours practicing the violin. Before I came here, I pretty much clocked about 10,000 hours in violin. So I came here, and the language was taken away from me because I did not speak any English when I landed in JFK when I was 15. So I had to learn the English language. And that is because when somebody has to learn a new language, then you fall back on the stuff, on the other skills that you had but didn't know you have. Meaning, because I was not able to speak the English language, I become so good at math in high school. I excelled in algebra. I excelled in geometry. I started taking pre-calculus and just kept on going. And then because I realized I didn't really want to do the violin in the long run, because music requires perfection and it requires a lot of dedication. As a young person at that time, I was not able to dedicate. And I didn't want to dedicate all my hours to practicing the violin because I was doing it 8 hours a day. And once you finish that, you really don't have much time to play with your friends. So I wanted to play with my friends. So I decided I was going to stop the violin after I put in 10,000 hours and went into economics. And when I went into economics, I was amazed by the world of economics because it's all about data, logic, and critical thinking skills. So it's a combination of logic, critical thinking skills, and analyzing the data that's in front of you and come up with a solution or a scenario that you can then use to convince either your teachers or your friends or write a paper based on it. And if you think about it, it's very similar to what we do in business every day, right? You get a bunch of data in front of you. You need to figure out what is relevant and what's not relevant to your job and to the problem at hand. And then you go into it, you look at it, and you analyze it. And then you have to come up with insights that you can use to convince people or that you believe in, or you can tell a story with. And then the communication skill comes in on how you communicate that story to the right person to get them onto your camp. So your question was, how did I find out I was good in data? It was by process of elimination because I can remember numbers a lot more easily than people's names. So I can remember numbers I've seen once and I can recall years later. So I think I was just lucky. And I'm very fortunate at the fact that numbers and patterns of data and insights stick in my head very easily and naturally, and I can recall them and connect dots. So probably it has something to do with the violin training, because if you think about it, music, especially when you take a look at Bach, the sheet music that of any kind of Bach sonata and partita is very mathematical oriented.
It's interesting because one for me, I know how I'm learning Spanish at the moment, and I know it is a challenge. It's good that that push you to focus on your mathematical skills.
That's right. I'm still very happy with it though. So I think it was a good trait. I just had to discover it.
Yeah, brilliant, cool. And obviously you've had an experienced lady, so you've got a wealth of experience of leading teams. Yeah, hopefully the listeners today will find this really useful and an interesting discussion. So let's dive straight into the first question. What are the key ingredients for building and maintaining a high-performing data team?
I know we talked about this, and I think the answer is really depending on what you are looking for and what company you are working for, and what do you need them to do for you. Because it depending on your end goal, a high-performing team may look very different from one goal to the next. And to answer it in a most probably common manner, like in an insurance company or in a consulting company, how do you assemble a high-performing team? I look for people who are naturally good with numbers and who have a knack with seeing numbers, seeing patterns, and also people who are not only good in math, but can apply math, can apply critical thinking. Because I find in my career, I found that there are people who are very smart, but book smart. So they don't necessarily apply. And people who know how to apply what they learn, they can continue taking new information and continue to connect dots beyond what they are taught to come up with a solution or an insight or conclusions. So it's like a good data team, you need to look for traits that are similar to Gen AI because it's constant learning and constant pivoting of the positions of understanding what each person needs to do. So the team should have different skill sets, of course, between the team members, and they should also understand their weaknesses and strengths. So yesterday I was asked by LinkedIn to contribute to an article. I'm sure you have seen that on LinkedIn a lot.
Yeah.
On data management. So the one they asked me to participate in was the one to talk about how do you decide whether you should be a data analyst or a data engineer and what to look for between the two and how you should choose one versus the other or how you pivot from one to the other, right? And I was reading through all the answers and the answers were very technical. It's like, oh, this one you need more coding. This one you don't need as much coding, but you need this. And what was not written, which I thought was the most important part, is we really need to think about the communication skills. It is also my experience that a lot of data people, they are fantastic with data engineers. They are fantastic with creating new features and different things, but they have a very hard time describing what they are doing in a language that fifth grader can understand. And let's be honest, that's pretty much what any one of us need to do when we're communicating data, communicating hard stuff to anybody. You need to put it in a language a fifth grader or a ninth grader can understand very easily. So communication skills, from my perspective, is really number one to build a strong data team. So the complement of each team members, you need to have a very strong communicator who can communicate, put a storyline together on the data that's out there, and persuade. So the differences is data insights, simple communication, telling a story, and persuasion. That's how I see the horizon.
Yeah, even for us, we see it now. I think you get a lot of talented people, obviously know data, whether it's in the data engineering space or data science modeling. But now what's apparent, obviously, is that domain expertise. So if you're like, you say you work in insurance, we deliver to insurance clients, and if they've not got that actuarial knowledge to actually be able to communicate with them on their sort of terms, it's going to be more challenging, isn't it, to articulate that, like you say, into a sixth grade, ninth grade language for the whole team. Because then if you do it, make it simplistic, you're going to be able to just reach your goals quicker.
Yeah. And I think it's very important as well that not only do you need strong communication skills, you also need to have critical thinking skills and probably some common sense. You just talked about looking at the data in insurance, right? And you may not, when you're hired in as a data expert or data engineer or data analyst, you may not know the industry, but you have the data in front of you. And that data tells you a world of amazing stories, but you don't know what is actually right. And you don't really know what's wrong and what would, you can just do the calculation and figure out what are the outliers and do the average. But then how do you compare that? So it's very important to use data to give you the foundation of what you need to learn with a particular role that you're in, but at the same time, seek guidance and benchmarks so you can tell whether the data you are managing or working with is correct. And then you can figure out whether you need to kick it back for more data quality control. And so those are all the skills that I think one will learn over time with communication. But communication is number one, because if you don't communicate, then all the work you do will just stay there, right?
Yeah.
So that's how I see the world.
Yeah. Communication is key. So then I'll see before that, obviously clear roles and responsibilities are key for individuals. So I guess, how do you define them? Because obviously things are evolving so quickly.
How do you define them? Usually you know what you're looking for. Usually there's a skill set you're looking for, right? And there are a type of person that you are looking for. And very often, unless you can really work with a person, it's almost like a flip a coin. Okay. I will be honest, I have made very great hirings in the past, but at the same time, I have also made mistakes. Mistakes where, person with really credible degrees and the person talks really well and can tell me about data and how he will go about this data and how he will learn, apply. I try to ask all the questions I'm trying to express right now, how to connect the dots, communication, and I even give sample tests just for the person to analyze the situation and come back to me. But then you can still be fooled by someone, because until you start working with a person very consistently, you really wouldn't know the person's strength and weaknesses, right? So the best way to leverage someone is to have a large enough team where you can reshuffle. You can reshuffle and you can rewrite that description based on weaknesses and strengths.
Yeah.
And very often that's probably the best way to continue to nurture your team. So you build a team based on the job descriptions that you think you want and your company wants you to hire. And once you hire the person, if the person is worth keeping, I would reshuffle within the team and make sure that you do cross-functional training and you have one shadow the other. So they are constantly learning from each other. And the more you coach and mentor them, the more you're going to realize, this person would be really good at doing analysis here, but not so good in terms of connecting dots. Or not so good in terms of bringing data in. Or somebody who would have a photographic memory of the data that you have in your data mart and how you access it and all the ins and outs. So right away, that person is probably very good with technology and very good with organization. So you use them for different things. So I think flexibility on the manager side is very important. And communication, I know we're going to go back to communication. I keep on leaning on the soft skills. The reason I keep on leaning on the soft skills is soft skills are so much harder to come by for the quantitative people. So Ben, tell you a story. So I would say for the first 20 years of my career, anytime when I try to update my resume, I go after the ROIs I've delivered, really quantifiable. This is the ROI I brought in. This is a percentage. This is a revenue. This is what I did. And as I continue to mature in my journey, I realize that technology data can be leveraged and analyzed by a lot of people, okay? And the results can be achieved. But then how do you communicate? And how do you make people want to stay with you, listen to you, be loyal to you, and go that extra mile for you is where most data people don't know how to be. Because we are likely to be transactional, to want to say, the data says this, so this is what we should do. We sometimes will forget the nuances or the softer side of things where make people realize that you are the best boss to work for and they always want to follow you from job to job. And that's what you want, because that's how you build a very strong data team, is to have the best people you have ever worked with continue to follow you.
It is a fun because some people do excel on different people. You see it with sports people. I'm a football fan and a soccer fan, and a soccer fan for obviously American listeners. And footballers are amazing at one club, and then they move to another place, and then they just they just lose their credibility. And so it's similar in business as well. People that really excel, and then it's just not either they've, I guess, not got the right working environment for them, or something's. Everyone's got a trigger, haven't they? Some people need their hand held by managers or someone to look up to. So I guess it's that environment, isn't it?
Yeah, it's involvement. And like you said, handheld by a manager. How much work can you actually produce and what kind of impact can you actually create if you have to handheld people, right? So you want to create other data leaders that can create more data leaders, will nurture more data leaders. So that's a very different way to think about work for many younger data professionals.
Yeah, no, yeah. And also, I love the book Think and Grow Rich. And obviously, if you get all masterminds in one room, some people just bounce off each other, don't they? You get them different type of people, I
Yeah.
strongly believe that if you've got a team that's just got that's just like a puzzle fits together. I think people just excel. It's just, obviously, some teams luckily they get it, and obviously others it can take time to attract that sort of team.
Let's talk about that because you hit on something that I had it in my written answer, but I haven't say it here is really diversity of thought, right?
Mm.
And that's so important. And sometimes I forget about it when I'm just geeking out because you just look at me. I came from a different country. I have different upbringing. I have music, and I talk to you about how music is the same as math, you know? So I think everything is interconnected. So the more different type of ideas, thinking patterns, perspectives, even if it's one that I don't agree with, we can learn a lot from each other. So having a diversity on your team
Mm.
and have different skill sets that complement each other and try to grow and amplify their strength. Because I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, very often it was more about, oh, she's not really good at this, so she should make that better. Like my dad was like, oh, you're failing math, you should do better in math. But I was like, no, I'm just going to play the violin. Until I did not want to play the violin, couldn't speak the language, and I suddenly became really good in math. Right? So my point is that we need to amplify the strength that we have, and that would help us minimize our weaknesses. And by having good compliments to ourselves, then we can learn from each
Mm.
other. Because it doesn't matter how many years you have in the industry or in the business, you can still learn from everyone. And I think everyone has value in terms of contribution, but the team has to gel. Team has to
Mm.
gel, and we need to have each other's back and support. And this is how you get people to work really hard on the project on the weekends.
Yeah, I guess obviously move on there. Can touch on the next question. Obviously, if you create that collaboration, like that competitive environment in a team, like if you've got your journey, like you've got your goal, and you make it competitive. Let's get better. Get everyone like rallied up. Everyone's gonna get buzzing. Everyone wants to achieve. You get them career-driven individuals in a team that are looking to achieve something, or if you've got your end goals like making a massive impact either within your company or society, people, it all adds value, doesn't it? So within that, I'll see touching on it, creating collaborative and inclusive team is massively important. So I guess what strategies can leaders use to obviously maximize this?
Okay, there's one more factor we need to talk about. We also need to create psychological safety for the team.
Mm.
Okay, especially for the younger generation, for the people, for the younger generation who are just coming into the workforce, who are only a few years out of school. Let's just say 10 years out of school, because I'm many years out of school. No, actually, that's not true. I went back to school recently, but you know what? For the younger folks, it's very important to create that psychological safety because one will be afraid to speak up, right? If there isn't a psychological safety within teams, if there's a
Mm.
spirit of competition or high pressure on delivering, and then you turn it into more of a silo within the team, then that won't work because you
Mm.
want that psychological safety. So the ones often I still say, I have a stupid question, and that's just because I don't understand. But it has been many years. I know my questions are never stupid, but I say it because I feel stupid by asking it. So I can imagine the younger folks, they don't know a lot yet. And when they have to ask that question, they will be afraid. So create that psychological safety zone for people to be able to voice their opinions, asking their questions, and get
Yeah.
answered back and learn and encourage them, empower them to do more based on what they are learning.
Yeah.
That is really key because then you can stop thinking. Others would be doing the thinking. No, I never want to stop thinking, but they will start doing the thinking a lot more, and they
Yeah.
would have that vision, that strategy, because they are then now in their body, in their brain and they can be them 100%. So creating that psychological safety, offering an environment where people are happy to learn, to make mistakes. I actually say this to my team. I say, it's okay to make mistakes as long as it's not big ones. I said that. I say, as long as it's not big ones, it's okay to make mistakes because you actually learn faster when you make smaller mistakes. It's easier to remember. And always remember how you need to summarize. You summarize in your head, you have that storyline in your head. You need to use your own words to express what you think you understand. And if you cannot do that, and if you cannot express your ideas and your insights in a very layman way, then that's probably not the right team for you, not the right person. It requires more training, but then you have to be willing to invest in that. And that's a lot of time.
Yeah, I think it's like no question's a stupid question, because in the day you need to learn. Like, I think I've been taught that, and I think it's just, especially in a junior role, and you think you're going to be asking something silly, it just gives you that safety, doesn't it? Because in the day you want to ask, if you're unsure about something, at least you come out of it knowing, less than going away from a meeting or wherever you are not unsure. It's just best, in my opinion.
And also, Ben, if you realized what I'm seeing in the world is that a lot of learning now is all self-learn. It's all self-learning, right? So a typical interview question I would ask somebody that's coming to join the team is, so how do you learn new information? Right? And the answer varies greatly, right? And sometimes they say Coursera, this and that, but seriously, you can probably find, if you just devote a little time, you can find a lot of information. Use ChatGPT, Gemini, Google, regular Google, and then you can do YouTube. Then you can learn. You can even complete graduate degree just using YouTube.
Yeah.
There's so many things you can do using YouTube. You just need to know what are the right information and what are the information that's not so good. And that's education is going to get you there. How can company maximize a team? Going back to your question, the company can maximize a team by assembling the right talent. And that's looking at not just their technical degrees, it's also looking at their personality trait, where they are willing to collaborate, they are willing to respect, they are willing to learn, open-minded, diversity, as well as critical thinking and communication skills. And then the leaders, the company should offer psychological safety to continue to empower people to make small mistakes, to learn really quickly, and then enhance that with training, either inside the company or outside, for ongoing training. And this is how you maximize a team.
So I guess like a feedback loop sort of thing.
Always feedback. And feedback should be 360 degrees. Most of the time I would ask my team, so can I do anything better? How can I change? And that's actually a trick, because if you think about it, it's much easier to change ourselves than to change anybody else, right? Even if you're the boss, you can set expectations on what they need to do, but it really doesn't matter. It's much easier if I just pivot myself. So ask the question, what can I do differently to get that feedback, to understand what each individual on your team needs to excel. And that needs to be aligned with your career goals too.
So with, obviously, communication and alignment on goals, how is best to do this, obviously, to enable to success? Because it's easier said than done, isn't it?
This is nothing new, right? Everybody knows this, and probably every company has this, but how many people actually practice it? And how many leaders?
Everyone's on their data journey. Everyone knows where they want to be, but getting there is a squiggly line, isn't it? Communication is the hardest bit, because you could tell me something and then I might articulate that as something else. That's the hardest bit, I think, for business, is just the communication aspect.
and I need to persuade you my version is
Yeah.
correct. No, it's not even that. I need to persuade you my version is your version. So you actually think that's your version. So
Mm.
you start persuading me. That's the
Yeah.
part. That's the part that's very challenging. And that's a part where, shall I say, persuasion skills are very required, very needed.
Mm.
And if we are really breaking it down, it's not just communication, it's actually understanding of the human psychology.
Mm.
Part where all the quantitative people are going to look at me and go, "Are you kidding me? No way, I'm not doing that." But it is a skill like reading body language, smiling, sending out
Mm.
intentions. I'm talking about very soft stuff, but it makes a world of difference. And it comes back to you in different ways. It may not come back to you immediately, but it will come back to you in different ways because people are warmer to you. People look to you for advice, and people want to collaborate with you, or people will volunteer their time to just work with you.
Mhm.
And that's all through that reading the body language, communicating, and making them think it's their idea because it
Mm.
is their idea. And that's the
Yeah.
best team environment when
Yeah.
everybody
No.
think alike, but they arrive there after they've gone through all the debates.
Yeah. And then, also, you touched on it. You made some good hires, you made some bad hires, which is good, not obviously, yeah, great to being honest. So, how can how can you as a leader make sure your data team has the right mix of skills and expertise? Or from your opinion, like, how could you have improved? Obviously, you've done good hires, so that's good. What went wrong with your bad hires?
You have to fire.
But what went wrong? Was it just misled an interview, or
Someone just didn't see it coming.
yeah,
Just totally did not see it coming. And it's not until 3 months in when you start working with a person, you go, what's happening? What's happening? Because sometimes this is going back to how somebody's book smart versus
yeah,
application smart, right? It's harder to identify who is not application smart up
mm,
front because you can do the apply thing, you can do the critical thinking test, and they all sound right because they have had a lot of practice. This is very high level now, high level
mm,
thinking. We're talking about hiring a pretty high level leadership. But then once you start working with the person, they don't connect the dots as fast as you thought they would. And the learning doesn't sink in. And then they don't apply. They always a bad hire. That
mm,
hire is somebody you need to fire. But you want to give the person time. And that costs the company a lot of productivity, if you think
mm,
about it. And an example I'm thinking about that costs a company probably 2 years of productivity because there is the initial trial time. Okay. And
mm,
because that happened during COVID, you have never been with a person in person. So you certainly don't want to write a person off,
mm,
right? So you spend more time on top of it. And then once you are in person again and you validated your theory that it's actually indeed a bad hire, then you need to set up development plans for the person to meet. And that's always very confrontational because they disagree with you and they see the writing on the wall, and it's just very unpleasant for a while until ultimately, hopefully, you give enough notice the person automatically leaves. So that will save you some time in terms of firing.
yeah. No, we obviously no. We get a lot, like, obviously you get people talk the talk, and then you got to
Walk
walk the
the
walk
walk.
as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
A lot of we discuss that a lot with our clients. So obviously that's thing, especially for leadership roles as well. People we come across that so many clients say, "No, I want someone that can actually say they're going to say what they deliver, basically, or in that respect."
Well,
So
if you think about it, anyone can do really well for about 6 months, right? Because you can cover.
mm,
It's not just about the data, the application smart. It's also about work ethics. Sometimes it's about work ethics and
mm,
attitude. For example, if a person is not able to show up for an 8 o'clock meeting, right?
Mm.
The person usually can show up for 8 o'clock meetings consistently for about 6 months. And then after that, if the person started not showing up or there will be problems that are happening, then that's more of a red flag. And it takes a while for those things to happen.
Yeah.
It's like any relationship, if you think about it. It's like you have a honeymoon period.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's like it's that whole buzz, isn't it? Like when you change something, like when you go on holiday, you love the place. Like it's because it's something new. It's the same with a new job. You change job, you get a higher salary, maybe different responsibility, and you could be buzzing for three months, and then if it's not like something you're really passionate about, or because that's why I think a lot of companies, you need to dig into what, like people say, yeah, say going back to insurance, like, yeah, I like insurance, but you need to actually dig underneath, like, why do you actually like that, or getting underneath the sort of them, because people can give you
Mhm.
an answer, but there's always another answer below, in my opinion. Obviously, I think it's like
Yeah.
the 5 whys. Yeah, go on.
I was just going to say that there are people who are really good at doing certain jobs. And very often that's all they are good for. And that is the hard one to figure out, is that, are they that kind of person? There's nothing wrong with being that kind of person. They just want to crank out the same data. They want to do the same BI reports. That's all fine.
Mm.
But then if you need them to change, to transform, to pivot with new things, and to take it up to the next level, to change, let's say, to move the BI dashboard into something that's more automated, as an example, right?
Mm.
So that, depending on your expectations, if you just want somebody to just keep on churning out the same things, there are people for that, and they're very happy
Yeah.
doing it. And if you need somebody who can then think about how to automate and how to figure out how to automate, who to talk to automate, what other data should we acquire to enhance the report, and then automate that real time. Those are many different paths the person needs to be able to think through and understand, and adding in the softer side of networking internally, talking to different people, and get people to like you, so they help you with the automation project and agree with the automation project and actually use the automated report you are going to deliver to them versus just the same spreadsheet they've been using all their lives. All that requires a data person's skills to deliver.
Yeah.
So then the data becomes more than just data.
Yeah. I think it's a lot of people don't understand what they're good at, in my opinion. But obviously, I was sort of working on my business, did a personality attitude test, and it come up. Funny enough, I don't like doing admin work, which I don't. So then, obviously, you can do. I think this is, if you did this, fit in most of your team members, find out what's their key strengths. There's personality tests out there. You can find out what's your buzz. And mine, I love just getting down with doing work, but not admin stuff side of things. So then, obviously, once you understand which is your strengths then you can delegate the stuff which you don't want to do. Because then there's other people out there that they love doing admin work. That's just their bread and butter. They just love. That's just what they get their buzz out of. And that's where I think a lot of businesses struggle, is doing these personality tests, right? Because that's where you undercover what your key strengths are, and if you can maximize that for each of your team members, you're going to excel.
That's going back to understand the psychology, the human psychology aspect, right? And that's a very good point, Ben, because it's not just about understanding the other person's psychology, but understand yours and be very honest with yourself, right? I would imagine that what you know now is not what you knew 10 years ago about yourself. And then there's that growth, there's that transformation, there's that understanding and self-awareness. And that better self-awareness tends to lead to being better person and better leader, and therefore hiring better teams. People do not lead companies, people lead managers. So having a strong team is having the right leadership, and having the right leadership is growing the individuals to be more self-aware. So what are you in terms of these psychological tests?
Sorry?
So what type are you?
I'd have to dig it out. I can't actually remember. I've got it in a document. I did it a couple of years ago, but it's just everything matches up with what you do. It's good. I'll try and dig it out. The actual name of the test as well. It's really, it just hit. Everything was bang on. It's just, it's impressive, really. And I think it's good. I think if a lot of people did that, you understand all the different skill gaps in your. But I bet so many companies don't utilize these sort of things.
There are free ones out there.
Yeah.
I am a big proponent for Myers-Briggs, the 16 personality types. And within it, I don't work for them. So I get no fee by saying this. The Myers-Briggs, it would actually tell you if your teammate is that other personality, and they are more likely to need this from you when you communicate with them. And they will focus on this instead. You actually know how to pivot your communication style based on who you are talking to. But I think I can actually summarize and make it a lot easier for anyone. When you're talking to people, just make sure that you are always focusing on what the conversation will bring value to the other person. Always think about what's in it for them, because that's where relationship can really happen and people will be open-minded to you. You want to come with an open heart, open mind, and contribute.
Follow on to the next question. What are some of the other effective ways to motivate and engage your team members then, beyond just compensation and benefits?
Compensation and benefits is just like the benchmark, and that's really the most lower level. Really, it's just motivation. Yeah. You need to create a team where they want to wake up and want to go work for you and want to go do the work. Okay. So I have led data science teams where in the past, what their feedback to me was like, I really enjoy working for you. The work we're doing is a lot of fun, but your company doesn't implement anything. We don't implement anything like effectively. And that gets a data scientist very sad in a way that they did all this great work. They see it, they see the data, they trust what they did, but then there's no action on it, right? And that's usually the toughest one to manage in a large organization is how do you manage team members who desire high growth and high learning rates, and your organizational culture just isn't on the same speed, right? So that's really key. And you, as a leader, you need to figure out what that means for your organization, because that could potentially mean you hire these really terribly great data scientists for a little while, but you know there will be turnovers and you accept those turnovers. Or you hire people that you know won't be leaving, but then they won't push the envelope. They don't learn new things, and they are more likely to do the same thing over and over again. So what's the balance? Where's the balance? And how should you manage that? That's a very interesting dilemma, I think.
Yeah, I guess, people want success. You want success, don't you? Don't really. Like, if you put this work in and then nothing happens with it, it's going to be a bit, all right. Like, it's a bit disheartening. You want success. Everyone wants to make impact or achieve something. Don't make it, whether it's like improve like cost savings on projects or whatever you're like developing your models for, or whatever your project you're on. You want to be doing something, don't you? Contributing, because it's just going to be like I said, disheartening. Like it's going to be like, oh, it's a waste of my time.
So some of the best comments I've gotten from my team members when I leave a job, this one I still remember, this from many years ago now. What he said was like, Peilin, I feel with you, I feel I am effective in contributing every day. So that makes him feel really good. He literally wrote that. I love feeling I'm contributing every day. So as a leader, you can think about how you make people feel that they're valued and they're empowered within the confine, whatever that confine is, to bring the best out of themselves. And then as a leader, it is your job. I believe it is your job. At least I take it as my job to nurture, to mentor those people and to push them out when your environment is no longer right for them. In a nice way, because you see the growth they need and you are not able to offer them the changes, or the changes are coming too slowly, where they're not going to be as happy. So you need to help land them elsewhere, because that will come back to you one day.
Yeah, again, it's going back to the first point, communication and being transparent, isn't it? And obviously, you've been honest with your team. Obviously, I guess there's been people where you want it to keep, but you just know it's their best interest to go somewhere else.
Yeah. It's basically, what we're saying is very simple. Treat people well. Treat people with kindness. Be empathetic and be sincere. Be transparent and be engaging and mentor. That's really what we're talking about. We're talking about very human things. So it's either data, technology, finance, retail. It doesn't really matter. It's the same thing. But I know different organizations would have different requirements.
I mean, it's just some of the most basic things, being like caring, just giving people honest feedback. It's being like just actually respecting other people and keeping people there. Again, I'm not against their own will, but like you just know they shouldn't be there. Like they should be somewhere else, maybe doing something else.
So let's flip that, because I think you are asking me, and I have learned all these lessons. I think really the real question here is how many of the younger data professionals are thinking like this. That's probably what we need to try to figure out. Because if younger professionals all think like this, we'll be great. We'll be perfect. Do you know that answer?
No. What do you mean, juniors? What, graduate types?
Yeah, the graduate, like the first year, or the data scientist, or just out of school 5 years. That's it.
It's pretty hard. A lot of graduates, we speak to, it's just more about breaking into the industry. I think that's the biggest challenge that they find at the minute. And a lot of them they just want to get an opportunity. So necessarily might not be the right opportunity for them, but they just want to get into the industry. And I guess the whole challenge once you graduate is such a competitive environment for anyone. Because you obviously hear a lot of people, don't they? They just fall into their job. And then sometimes people get lucky, and then obviously some people halfway, I've had enough of working in finance, or I don't actually want to work in tech, or people make that massive career change. So sometimes I think people get lucky. And I think like with data, it's so like you start with being like a data analyst or become like a junior like data engineer. Yeah, until you actually experience it, you're gonna not know whether you're gonna excel, are you?
Yeah. And you need to experience it, but how do you experience it, and how do you create? Sometimes it's not about the job. Sometimes it's about the environment you're in. So having that kind of mindset tend to create a very positive environment for yourself, regardless of where you're in. Yeah.
And then also industry-wise, like, do you know you're going to like to work in insurance? Will you like financial services? Will you like the pharma? Or you might be preferred more media, retail. It's like I said, I think a lot of it is just.
So
I think it depends how switched on. I think, in my opinion, how switched on you are as a junior. Like, because some people know they just look. I want to work in insurance. I've got passion for that. They just look like that's something they got a buzz about. But others, I think, just take a hit.
I'm going to plug the insurance industry a little bit here, okay? So the insurance industry will be going through a massive labor force retirement in the next 10 years. Because the insurance industry is really good at keeping loyalty. So there are a lot of workers who are near retirement age, and there are a lot of workers in data and IT So what is happening is that some of the younger generation will be looking at, oh, I can work for all these companies, including Google, Nvidia, and all that. Why would I work for an insurance company? Often that's a question in
Mm,
insurance. Who needs insurance? And insurance is boring. A lot of people think that, but that's a misconception because insurance can be very sexy and insurance has
mm,
so much data on each individual person. Okay.
mm,
And for the juniors, for them, it's not only about a lot of data they can play in. Insurance industry want the people who are younger generation, who are aggressive on what they know, newer technology. At the same time, insurance is very willing to experience innovation. And because the
mm,
insurance industry is regulated, so that means that
mm.
things cannot move very fast because the government won't allow it. So that means you get to experiment. And anything you experiment will feel like a huge improvement for the industry. If you want to make a mark for yourself, insurance industry could be it for you because it's going to offer a great opportunity for a vast amount of data. And whatever you do, the very spiffy stuff at Tesla probably won't apply here. But if you just do some of your predictive models, you could just be the hero of the day. So I think it's a
Yeah.
great opportunity to get into insurance right now.
Yeah, no, I think, like I said, yeah, it obviously had a bad, not a bad name, but it's just that's that type of industry. But like, we place to do a lot in this, and it's so advanced now. And there's so much happening. Obviously, you've already got the data in front of you, haven't you? You've got
Yeah.
so you know what changes can be done. Right?
Yeah.
Obviously, you had the like claims. How long did that
Yeah.
used to take?
Yes.
Now you get a claim done in
You can,
yeah, in front of
yeah.
you've got that, and then but it's all about how you storytelling. You've got to. Like, why should I join you? That's what I think. Obviously, you can post a job advert, but you need to. That's not going to define why someone should join you. You need to have a story, in my
Right.
opinion.
So think about insurance. Think about the climate change that we're going through, how weather
Mm,
has become more erratic, right? Huge
yes,
opportunity in insurance.
exactly.
Figure out how we can predict the weather pattern for whatever insurance offers. That's the product that this company is offering for this group of people, and how you should do the underwriting and predict what the claim situation would be. That's huge.
Yeah.
And that could be very innovative because there are new kind of technology for different kind of
Mm,
predictions and different kind of model you can go after to get new data, imaging data like computer vision. And then you can assess different damages and you can then turn out the claim. There's so much you can do in insurance.
mm. Yeah, again, you have to, it's all communication. Like you need to, because like most, in my opinion, most job adverts are just a list of skills and a description, but it's not.
Yeah.
You need obviously that's right. So recruiters obviously do. I'm going to pick us up. But obviously we do help because end of the day when we have to like we get a job, we'll discuss the opportunity with the hiring manager, and there's so many other insurers competing with you for the same talent. Because ideally, I'd prefer most want insurance domain expertise because it's just going to help. So how are you going to stand out is like you need to have that like key selling points, and it could be like you say, it could be like, oh, we make an impact on like climate change. It could be anything. Like we've placed people before. I mean, I think this lady, she had 3 offers, and she chose this insurance company because she knew that they had a training budget, a training plan, and that's going to aid her career. I didn't know that. I couldn't share that knowledge with her, and she may have gone elsewhere. So it's all about you might say bad, but you got to get like in bed with your client, not literally, but you got to know them inside out because then you can share the knowledge. Because businesses can't communicate all of this, can they?
Correct. And the business don't think about communicating all
Uh,
these things because business are thinking about, oh, I got a job and I'm going to pay this much, so people should come work for me, right? That's what
yeah.
most of business think about. Oh, I got roles open, but people don't always realize that we are always selling ourselves, including when you have a job posting on
Mm,
LinkedIn, right? So you need to tell that story.
mm,
Okay, let's talk about me for a little bit. Do you know my first award just came from the fact that I moved on-site, on-prem data over to the cloud, and using the cloud to set up BI, data science, and different kind of infrastructure to democratize data. Okay, that sounds like it's not, from my perspective, that could have been done many years ago. But in insurance, that's really hard to accomplish because you have so much data, so many different areas. You need to convince the organization. So then once you are in the industry, you understand that what you do that can be easier done in a different industry would lead you to an award or two. And then next thing, if you're actually pretty smart, you think about next best action, you think about how to leverage your PII information and how do you do it in such a way that can generate returns for the organization, then your career is set up.
I know. There's so many things. Like, even if you've got a diverse team, even that's a massive selling point to some people. If you've got 50-50 male, 50% female, that's a massive impact for some. Like, everyone, that's why you need to know everything, because there's so many different things. Also, you're going to have people that are just chasing money, or they want to know whether there's career progression, like that. Then there's others that want to know, if they make, like, do they have a charity, or do they make impact that way? Do they do the social element? There's so many different things you need to know.
Yep.
And then you need to understand it. Obviously, so there's a lot to it, like, in terms of getting the right individual. And then the more the boxes you tick, the better you're going to get within that team, and the more likely they're going to stay with you and progress within the business.
And think about the social impacts that insurance companies deliver. Insurance companies protect families, individuals, their properties. So should something bad happens to the individual family or the property, the insurance company is there to protect them, right? So if you think about it, that's a social cost that I think anyone can stand behind. And then if you use data to help contribute to that cost to protect people, that you are literally contributing back to the world to help other people to have better lives. So it's a pretty cool industry, and it's ripe for transformation.
But I bet a lot of people won't understand that, though. Like, thinking of just an insurance job, you wouldn't think that, would you?
But you can think of it because that's the reputation, right? That's just stereotype. Asians are good at math. It's a stereotype. It's about getting in, knowing the right people, work for the right leaders.
Yeah.
And if your leader is not the right leader right now, it's okay. You can still learn. And then you become that right leader for the organization. Because it's right for disruption. And there are many insurtechs. And the insurtech, that's another interesting thing. You can also work for insurtech, right? Because insurtech nowadays they would build these fabulous solutions. And the fabulous solution is just a couple steps ahead of current. They build these fabulous solutions for a few years, and they sell it to the existing insurance carriers for a lump sum, a big sum. And then the existing carriers become better, and the insurtech founders then move on to build something else. And that's pretty exciting too.
Yeah. And then I see you touched on it, like, to obviously encourage your team. How would you create an environment that encourages, like, continuous learning, upskilling, professional growth for your team?
Crack my whip. I forward emails I subscribe to, the emails that I read every day about advancements in specifically right now, I focus a lot on Gen AI. So I read what are the advances in Gen AI every day. I forward those kind of emails and I encourage them to subscribe. And we have my company has a lot of internal trainings. In fact, we are going to get a training on NVIDIA certification for Gen AI. So I encourage my team to sign up. I push for them to sign up for trainings internally. So let me put it this way. I think every week, if you think about your job, every week, however many hours you focus on it, I would say you need to dedicate 10% of your time to training yourself, upskilling yourself. Okay. And then you need to dedicate somewhere between 5 and 10% of your time into relationship building, networking. So that means meeting new people, getting in touch with the existing people that and getting to know them so that when you need them, they will be there for you. Okay. It sounds kind of vague, but it's for real. I consider this part of that
Yeah.
time because now we're talking about important things and things will come back to you, things will come back to me, and we will figure out how to continue to contribute to the world. So, your job, you should spend 80% of your time on doing the job, 10% on self training, 10% on networking. Week.
I completely agree with the learning because I think, and like me for me, like I used to like every morning go gym because then straight away you've achieved something, and then do reading as well. But I do, well, I mean, my gym was just whenever I get free time now. I make sure I go most days, but it's just helps you like you've accomplished something, and then also with that, if you're reading a book or learning something, if you learn something every day, that is growth, and it's good for your mental state. Like it's like you've actually learned something. You're not doing. It's not like Groundhog Day. You've just done the same old thing again.
And you know what else?
You've progressed.
You know what else I also do? I actually put on podcasts and different learning things when I'm in the shower every day. So you are literally multitasking. You are doing your thing and you are learning. And I also believe in this. I also believe in subconscious learning. So sometimes I put on learning stuff when I go to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, when I went back to school to get my third degree recently, 4 years ago, I had to take a class in ML. Actually, I had to take a class in neural network. And I literally just went on YouTube and I just searched for all the videos and I queue it up and then I put it on and I went to bed. Did I feel smarter when I woke up? Yes. And then did I go back to the video? Yes, I did when I was awake.
All right.
But
I'm gonna do that with I'm gonna do that in Spanish tonight. I'll wake up and I'll be fluent.
No, but your brain's doing while you're sleeping.
Yeah, no. But I think obviously that's another topic. People still don't know about the brain. It's
That's
still
right.
an unknown area. So
Yeah.
you never say never, right? And then I guess let's talk about challenges. What are some of the common challenges that hinder like productivity? And I guess and then how can you avoid or address these?
What's a common challenges that hinder productivities? Probably just really no communication and they go on a wrong path of analytics, right? So that's usually a common challenge that I find is not understanding this problem statement and they continue to investigate down really deep before they check back in with you. So that's a common problem. Usually, when I notice that when people have that kind of problem, whoever may have that kind of problem, what I would do is I will set up short recurring meetings so that enables checking in frequently. And I usually ask my team member once I finish describing a problem statement or the work I need them to do or the instructions. I tend not want to give instructions. I tend to give like a holistic scope. Have them repeat back to me in their own words in different ways to show me that they actually understood. That's what I tend to do because that's when you also realize that maybe there's misalignment because they will add in different things or they will extrapolate or they would say it in such a way that you realize, oh, they really don't understand because they're just saying exact same words back to you. When somebody's mirroring you, they are mirroring you either intentionally or they just don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. So you got to know when that was. Yeah, understand when that's happening. It's going to be a challenge.
Depending, you can pretty much tell. You mirror people because you want to gain their acceptance.
Yeah.
Like I'm tilting my head to mirror yours.
Oh, brilliant.
So that tend to be the most common challenge because when they interpret the problem statements incorrectly or not understanding what they're supposed to solve, they tend to bring back the wrong work. And then you have to restart, right? So to be able to nip that in the bud, you need to know who you're working with and how they are understanding you.
Yeah.
And again, it comes back down to communications, and it's really not data.
Yeah. So why do you think most? Obviously, we touched about a lot of communication. So obviously, that's a
Hmm.
key topic. I mean, why do you think some leaders or businesses just struggle with the leadership or communication aspect? Is it lack of listening? Do you think it's the big problem, or because
Not
it's obviously
engaged.
big? Obviously it's a big issue, isn't it? Really, I mean, it's always the debate about is lack of good leaders on the market. It's always discussed across businesses. And obviously, it's not easy, is it? Moving from being that technical expert, whether it's you've been a marketing expert, data expert, and then to move into this like leadership role where you're moving away from your expertise, aren't you? And you're moving into more the emotional intelligence, the soft skills element. So do you think it's just just to end? Where do you think big people leaders go wrong on that respect?
Where do you think people go wrong in this area?
Yeah, like leaders, like I said, the communication side of things, because that's
I
if
think
if leaders communicate people, you get results quicker, wouldn't you? And in my opinion,
I would actually sacrifice technical expertise for high level emotional intelligence, because you can rent technical expertise. You can lease technical expertise,
yeah,
and then
well, that's also it.
yeah, yeah, you can do that easily. But then emotional intelligence and EQ is not something you can actually rent. It comes
Yeah,
with practice and comes with self analysis and self awareness.
yeah,
So I think you're talking about leaders who were individual contributors, and because they did so well, they became
mm,
leaders without having the training or
yeah,
the development to be a leader. So they got
mm,
promoted for their technical skills. So it's time to get some leadership development. And I know a lot of technical people just don't think that's really important and put that aside. That's actually one of the most important things is to develop your leadership skills, get trained on it, have EQ. And if you are short on time, hire an executive coach.
mm,
And that's when you are going to find your superpower. I found my superpower after I stopped being a data and subject matter expert, and then
mm,
realized my superpower actually lies more in terms of persuasion, communication, and understanding the psychology. And the world really changed for me because then all the technical people came to me and asked me, what should I do? Because
yeah,
when comes we are all honest with ourselves, our concerns, our fears are never about the work we're doing. It's always
mm,
about how we feel. And
mm,
we can get there if we're honest with ourselves, if we see somebody we can emulate and then say, I can be that too. Because you can be both. This is a skill
mm,
that can be learned. It just needs a little time. Like this thing I was just talking about, I learned this.
yeah,
I didn't know that if I mirror the person I'm talking to, it would make them to be more open-minded to me. I had no idea that was the case until I studied it, right? So skills that can be learned, communication classes can be taken about how to be persuasive. Remember all those
yeah,
long emails that you get from your data people with a lot of numbers, a lot of bullets and numbers?
yeah,
Remember that? And then sometimes even a copy and pasting in Excel table, right?
mhm,
Do you remember any of those emails and what they are telling you? No. So I learned that any email, it should be shorter than 200 words. 200 words.
yeah,
Okay. Try telling that to an analyst. Tell them that they need to summarize their analysis with only 200 words. No tables. Scary.
yeah,
But if you can do that, I'm pretty sure you can tell a story. And if you can tell a story, then you are already on that path to become that empathetic leader that you're meant to be.
yeah. Because you want that. I guess that warmth type of personality, don't you? There are people happy to come to you and gonna know or gonna get the help they need, aren't they? Really. So cool, cool. All right, brilliant. Well, I think we could wrap it up there. Obviously, I really appreciate you being on, and obviously, provided some great insights. And I hope all the listeners have enjoyed the podcast. Thank you, Peilin. It's really been enjoyable having you on.
Ben, it has been fun. I did not realize we're going to talk so much about EQ, but I love talking about EQ with you and looking forward to the next conversation. Thank you so much for having me.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.